conversation you had about not being able to say anything bad at all about trans people. Yeah, or the fact that are they, are we even talking about trans people or not? Are trans people saddled with guilt in a circumstance that has nothing to do with them? Because, like I said, is a autogynephiliac a trans person? I don't think so. Is somebody who fetishizes the idea of being a woman sexually and uses that as and is largely in that case heterosexual, and uses it as a way to victimize women, is that person trans? No. Should trans people be on the hook for that person's existence? No. It has nothing to do with them. It's it's like when people attach pedophilia to being gay, when like, first of all, they're pedophiles across the sexual, across the sexual, the spectrum, right? And no group is more attached to it. But the right will oftentimes make that about that pedophilia is almost a uniquely gay thing or something, right? Why should gay people be on the hook for something that is more prevalent from straight people just by number, much less per capita? They shouldn't. And so it shouldn't even be a conversation, because the existence of pedophiles, the existence of that kind of behavior has nothing to do with healthy sexuality at all. They are totally disjoined. But we line them up somehow because they both involve genitals. But I would argue all non-consensual sex goes into a basket of its own and has nothing to do with consensual sex. It is completely opposite. It's not even apples and oranges in this system, because they're not in the same family. But it's I think it's cruel to make them carry that burden. And a lot of times when people talk about Native Americans or what have you, or they talk about them in a way that it's not that, it's almost like they don't have the capacity to be violent, and therefore they're basically a deer. They're a bird. They're not really a person. Human beings have all these different elements to them, but somehow they're denied that. It doesn't exist. And that's dehumanizing, because you're much stronger if you have the capacity for a certain behavior and you don't act on it than if you didn't have it at all. Right? Somebody who doesn't have a car and can't drive and doesn't know how to operate the pedals doesn't get points for not running people down. Right? You don't get, well, you say what you will, but he's never got in a car and run somebody over. Like, well, because he can't. Apples and bicycle chains. It's very, very different. I'm a prospector looking for retention. Yeah. Look, don't everybody jump on Groove Dragon either, because it seemed to me that you painted all Native Americans as being bad as the colonizers. Looking at what Cortez did in Mexico, he introduced an entirely different kind of warfare. Yes, but people don't have to take it up, and the capacity for doing so gave them dominance over other tribes. The same thing is true. Who introduced it to him? Like, people are people. It's not like they, Jesus Christ, look at the British. The British were wiped out by the Kentucky militia and the other folks because they fought in a line and stood in formation, and the rest of them didn't. That warfare worked at one point. So were they wrong for taking it on, or were the settlers not right for not reciprocating and standing in line too? Again, this is a process of dehumanization that I have no interest in. I would like to believe that all humans, regardless of their race or their religion or their creed, have the capacity to be complete human beings. And when they don't act on those things, they get credit for it. When they do act on those kind of things, they get vilified for it because they're human beings. And nobody gets a pass just because of geography. especially that they wouldn't have given themselves. Well, we learned to fight like that from the Native Americans. There you go, Diane. That's a good part of it, right? Kentucky militia learned that from the local tribes because that's how they, they were getting killed themselves. Vicky, what is Hal talking about? That's a really good question. We're having a greater conversation that's spilled over from the statistical belief that, America bad, and how it measures up and how, statistics can belie a greater truth underneath it. And then a sense of history comes from these kind of blanket concepts that we've all bought into. And I think some of those beliefs dehumanize people. They take away the capacity for all the aspects of humanity that everyone has available to them. I mean, hold on. I'll show you something. I've showed you guys this before, but this symbol that I have right here, that's on my little sign right here, I drew this when I was in high school to explain to my my acting teacher why I felt the need to do music and stand up and write and direct and all the other stuff, why all of my interests were important and why I couldn't just focus on being an actor and nothing but an actor. And I said I couldn't because all of these interests have value and they're all interconnected. And it is the tension between these things that makes me a person. And it is the good impulses that you have and the bad impulses that you have and the distractions that you have no value and the hobbies that you have that help you grow as a person that all pull apart, and you're not any of those things. You're the tension between all of them. This is you. This is you in the center of this. And you don't exist without all of it. The impulses you don't act on are as important as the ones you do. That's who you are. You're not just the parts of you that you can commodify or the parts of you that you keep hidden. You are the tension between all those things. Does that make sense? I hope so, because it's how I live my life. And that's why I drew this and why I carry it around and why I wear it and why I have it. And Rob Glenn made this for me. He had this machined in his factory for me. And I believe this of everybody. This is also not just a guiding point of who I am. I believe it in everybody. I believe who you are is not all your good traits and none of your bad traits, any more than it's all of your bad traits and none of your good traits. I think it's the tension between the two. Who you balance yourself to be in this life. That's who you are. Vincent says, I try to overcome the darker parts. Exactly. And that's not just not doing those things. It's trying to do the good thing in that moment when you're faced with a decision in life. It's your weakness and your strength. Your entire existence is the tension between those things. That's who you actually are. Who you want to be may be a greater portion of that. And even when you do move in that direction, you move up or down with these arrows. You go up in your moral greatness. You go below what you believe your standard should be. The whole thing moves with you. And it's the tension between those things that moves you in that direction that makes you who you are as a person. That's who we know. That's who your friends know. That's who life is. Whether that's who you're trying to present or not, that's who's really there. Who you really are in this world is the tension between all of those things. And it's your struggle with your worth and your fear and your baser self and your higher self. And the part of you that wants to eat better and exercise, and the part of you that indulges, and the part of you that has hurt someone and apologized, and hurt someone and hasn't. You are the wrong and the apology and the tension between the two. Paper or plastic. That's right. You're the wind beneath your wings. That's right. Yeah. Damn, when I was in high school, I was just about, where's the kegger? Well, so were a lot of people in my high school in Kentucky, which is why I left and moved to Chicago to live with my dad. Because truth be told, I probably would have rather lived with my mom. But I had to get out of there, and I needed a bigger world. So, it's a crucial aspect of what I believe, and I try to show that here. And I hope it gets across, right? And Groove Dragon, I appreciate you in some ways starting off this conversation, right? But I also want you to know that you are hearing what you need to hear or want to hear, not what is being said. And I'm sure I have a huge ego, but not a big enough one to assume that this is the only place it happens. And so all I could ever ask of someone is to consider that. Thanks, Trigger John. I'll make sure I put the symbol on my campaign stuff. Nothing says beer free like Chicago. Well, again, in Kentucky, it's hard liquor, so, and shine. So, my argument is that whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, whether you're aware of it or admit it or not, your actual identity as a person is the bridge between the binary aspects of yourself. Am I okay? No, I'm better than that, Triva. I'm really good. I'm really good. Because this stuff matters. This really does matter. Is my necklace a one-off? No, I have a few of them. I sometimes give them to patrons that I see, Patreon supporters that I see at shows in person, because I only hand them off personally. So hopefully, if I see you, come up to me and ask. Because I usually have one of them in my bag, just in case. But whatever story we tell the world, the story we're actually living is that balance. Hal, what if you think you don't belong here? There has never been a statement of belonging more than that feeling. That's how you know you belong here. Because this place is almost defined by the search for belonging. Yvonne, you live in the UK. I see. Well, I'm sorry, I can't help you then. Everybody else, this applies to you, but it does not apply to Yvonne. She lives in the UK. So, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Good point. Touche. Some people are too far gone. And yeah. What author has influenced you more than any other person? Well, the Bible. No. What author? Besides Douglas Adams? I mean, obviously there's been a fair number of screenwriters, but Fritjof Capra's book, The Tao of Physics, had a big impact on me. I am often inspired by books that I ultimately hate. I will often, some books, some of the most inspiring books I've ever read are books where I'm like, fuck you. Right? It's like nothing makes me write jokes better than watching bad stand-up. Philip K. Dick, yeah, I can see part of that. Yeah. Certainly. Asimov, Heinlein, Roddenberry. Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. It's a good book, Carl. That's a good one. The one about like how to think like a spy, I think it is, right? That's definitely got value. I mean, Marcus Aurelius, obviously, you know, Meditations is a great book to read. There's here, I'll show you one of the most annoying books that bugs people that I've read. This guy right here. Good Lord. This is my good copy of it. This is Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike. When I started reading this book, I started underlining stuff in it. This is an old copy that I didn't mess up or mark in, but I have this one on like a Kindle version. It's actually the Apple Books version of it, and I started highlighting so much that I was like, I should just turn the whole pages yellow. So, Morals and Dogma is great. This is where that line, everyone's entitled to their own unique mistake, comes from. So, what I think of Melania, I have no plans on reading that. I don't need self-absorbed, what, don't forget to walk your dogma. I try not to. Curb your dogma. Excellent. Well, I've gone very long tonight in our fanciful conversation. In some ways in honor of David Lynch, yes. C.S. Lewis Shakespeare. Not to be confused with Captain Christopher Pike, absolutely. Are you you're a Freemason? Yes, I am. Yeah, here's my Masonic Bible. You want to see that? There you go. Yeah, I am a Freemason. And a proud one, too. And everything you keep hearing from Alex Jones and people like that, they're full of shit. And what they're trying to do is undermine democracy and free association and all the good parts of the Enlightenment in a way to reestablish authoritarianism, because that's antithetical to everything Freemasonry stands for. And so there you go. Right. Lord of the Flies, didn't like it. Thought it was bullshit and thought it was basically like a story to scare children into like, if we weren't here, you fucking kids would murder each other. Charlotte's Web is I cried watching the cartoon. Lord of the Rings, read all of those in high school. First book I ever read all the way through was The Hobbit when I was 6 years old. So my sister taught me to read. She has a learning disability. So using the same techniques to teach my sister how to read when she was 10, she taught me, she would come home and play school. And so from the time I was like 4 or 5 years old, we didn't have anything to do because we didn't have a television set. So my sister was my teacher, and she taught me how to read. And so I got a whole copy of the book when I was 6 going on 7, and I read it all the way through. And my parents got worried. It's like, who is this child? Catcher in the Rye, hated it. Don't hurt me. Yeah, I hated it too. Bullshit. Annoying, self-involved nonsense. Yeah. Grapes of Wrath nearly killed you. What did it do? Fall on you? Yeah, Holden Caulfield is just a prick. Yeah. It's nihilistic porn. It's nihilism porn. Yeah, rip Bob Uecker. Sweet guy. Electric Kool-Aid acid test, whoever said that, yes. Groove Dragon, I think you're selling an idea to all of us, because your name in caps and you're writing all in caps. I see a branding exercise happening here. I'm getting very strong bot vibes from you. Yeah, what else? Hold on. I should pick 2 other books just to show you before I go. Let's see. Where is it? This one? Let's see. No. This was cool. Hold on. This is super weird. This was in my grandfather's stuff. When my grandfather Siler, my mom's dad, passed away, he left me a couple things. They were like, well, it was more like, you want any of this? And I was like, yes, I want anything that mattered, that he had, that you were like, he always had this, and we didn't get it. And so I have his sword from World War II, and I have his dress sword, and I have his gun, his rifle that he brought back with him, and Elbert Hubbard's scrapbook, which is this weird book of just like collections of writings that this guy Elbert Hubbard had put together, and it was a lot of philosophy and little stories and that kind of stuff. And in it, check this out. And I'm going to end on this because you guys, I've already been far too good to you folks all night. This is it. I would like to show you this, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on, I've got it. I don't want to lose my place because I use it as a bookmark because it came with it. Hold on. I'll use a new bookmark, this sticker that I have that says not to be operated by fuckwits. I'll hold that in there so I don't lose my place. And this is my grandfather and my grandmother all dressed up. That sword he's holding is his. Robert and Roberta. That's right. So that's my grandparents. That's my mom's parents. And then there's a Miami Beach, Florida leather leather bookmark in here that's further back than I've gotten, and then a picture of them all at the beach in their swimming costumes. But there's a bunch of stuff in this. I look like my grandfather? Thanks very much. That's very sweet of you. I agree. So there you go. I actually look more like my mom, and especially with my hair like this. He was cavalry? Yes. I do come from good stock. They were in their 20s in that picture. I gotta go. You guys are weird. I love you. Just do me a favor. Treat every human you meet as a full human. Like a complete human, not a fucking robot. And don't look back on history as if everybody should know what a fucking Starbucks Grande is. I would look great in one of those swimming suits. All right, this has gone far too far.